And we are back here once again with another episode of the MSK show. And this is going to be episode 87. And in this episode of the MSK show, I am going to be having a conversation with content creator Miss Shan, actually. So nice to meet you, ma'am. How are you doing?
Very good. Awesome. How are you?
I'm old, run down. My wife left me for Tyrone. My wife's boyfriend threw me out, and then I had to go to Walmart, and then I came back.
Oh, that's ironic because my husband just left me and I worked for many decades at Walmart as my main career. So,
You know what's crazy? A lot of people think working at Walmart is bad. Literally, guys, if you don't know this, Walmart actually gives you pretty decent healthcare, actually gives you vacation time. And well, you don't work the standard 8 hours, you work 9 hours actually. And obviously, I think some people have like 4 days they work, 5 days work. It's not, I don't know what people told other people. It's really not that bad of a job to work. Literally, if I left the place that I work at now to go work over there, I would be fine. It's literally just better as far as like healthcare wise,
it does have good benefits, but
yeah, the problem here is
any retail job is not.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's certain people you talk to when you work there. They're in certain positions where they don't have to interact with customers. Some are just like stalkers. Some are just overnight people. It really just depends on what position you're in. But if you like have to work there because you need a job, do not let people tell you it's bad. It's completely fine.
Working for Walmart's not bad. Working for certain managers can be bad because every manager has the potential to be bad. But it's really interesting that I spent a lot of my time at Walmart working in electronics and photo lab as
you were the person
I'm an artist.
Where people would ask to open the case for the games and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do art and games. That's like literally my content now. But the thing is when I had my kid and I stopped working there, like I would go shopping and they would literally be so desperate. They would like be begging me to come back, even though there was absolutely no way it was going to happen at that point because they just didn't have anybody that wanted to work in that area, I guess. Like nobody wanted to do the job, which doesn't make any sense to me because it was a fun job.
Yeah, and in that part of the building, usually there's like it doesn't get that busy generally. Like you're not even dealing with like customers on the level you're dealing with like cashiers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also,
it's just literally Black Friday and Christmas. That's the only times that it's hard.
Yeah, people don't even know if you actually work there. They give you some sort of like card that you can use to get like some sort of like 30% discount, whatever on the shit that you buy. So not only do you get discounts for stuff working there,
year round, and then at Christmas time you get an extra 10% off of all groceries that you buy for like the whole time, like October to December, like your groceries are just an extra 10% off. And then on Black Friday itself, you get a voucher, which used to be paper and then became a plastic card that you swipe at the register that gives you an extra high percentage off your stuff. And it's like, because it's a percentage, the more you spend, the more you save.
So if you basically bought like $120 worth of food, your bill could be like $70 almost, essentially.
Yeah, and people would like multiple buggies in their transactions. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they would like rack it up. Like the first one would be all food, and the second one would be like electronics and like non-food stuff.
Imagine all that just for working at just Walmart, a place that people just despise. You get decent health care, and you get basically percentage off your freaking groceries and food. So, when I've seen people work there for like 10, 20 plus years, I'm like, it makes sense. I understand it perfectly,
Yeah.
Like, so we'll start here. How was your life growing up, actually? Are you like one of those southern chicks? Did you grow up in like Kentucky or something?
I live in the mountains of North Carolina, so like the tip.
North Carolina. You guys just had a hurricane. How are you even alive? Are you a ghost or something?
It was rough. I'm not going to lie. It was rough. But I fared a little bit better than some other people a couple counties over who basically don't have land or a house. Say that again?
No, Kamala Harris's $750, Loan Tia didn't help out, I imagine.
They basically had to relocate to other states because they don't have anything. Like their property is non-existent. It's just
Mhm.
like imagine you go into the landfill, like that's what their property looks like.
That's not good.
Yeah. So I don't know if and when they'll be coming home. Our water situation is still really bad. Um, it is under like bull advisory, and it's like one of those things where like the inspectors are coming to businesses like constantly and changing
Mhm.
like rules about the water as it gets better and better. We went from a pristine water reserve to like the nastiest water in like the area. It's been crazy, but um, the Starlink, that was really a big plus because the Walmarts around here were using Starlink before Helene. And so after Helene, they became like big centers of, all the resources that people could need and everything. And they were up and running all except for one that was completely flooded out, completely destroyed. I'm talking like 4 foot of water, merchandise floating down main action alleys. Like it's closed
Mhm.
indefinitely. Employees were moved from it to like another nearby location for the time being. Um, it was bad, but the other ones were good, and so they became these big centers to hand out water and resources and people to get internet and cell service. But the cell towers were so messed up they had to like move in mobile trailers with mobile towers so that
Yeah.
people could get cell phone service and stuff. But
That's whew,
yeah,
man.
but I did grow up here. Like I've lived here my whole life. I did grow up country though. I was raised on a farm, and then eventually
So you know how to
the
milk a
state.
cow?
Yeah,
You
the
know how to
state
clean
took
the
our
horse?
barn though.
Really? Do you know how to
Yeah,
clean like the horses like shoes and stuff like that?
yeah. I like one of the things I did even after we were like older and not on the farm after they took it. Was just taking care of people's horses and cows in the area. Um, a lot of people, raise cattle, like, but
Mhm.
not like we used to, not like big things of cattle like to sell for meat anymore. It's more just like one or two for their own uses until they're a certain age, and then they send them off to be slaughtered, and then they
Yeah.
keep the meat, and then they raise a couple more. It's
Mhm.
just personal use,
Mhm.
and they usually have a couple horses and stuff, and um, a lot of the farms and stuff, their barns have been destroyed, and so I did like some Habitat for Humanity, where instead of building houses, we were building barns for people because they wanted somebody that actually like was familiar and knew what they needed in the plans for the barns for the animals and stuff. We did a lot of blueberries on our farm when I was little. Blueberries was the thing, and we made all the pies and the muffins and all that kind of stuff. And my grandma did like one of those little um, booths at the farmers market and stuff. Like that was a big source of my grandparents' income. But the reason they bought it out was because that's where they ended up. That's why I mentioned the landfill earlier. Because I always think about the landfill because that's what they used it for
Mhm.
when they bought it.
What about goats?
Um, they they weren't so much a thing when I was younger. Goats, like they're
Mhm.
really popular now, but they weren't back then. We had um, my brain is just like farting the word um, uh, uh, like random, I guess, like roaming bands of turkeys all the time. And they
Huh.
would just like come across the land. I still have some here at this house. We had sheep, we had cows, we had horses, we
Imagine.
had, oh, I don't know, pigs, but we only got pigs like once in a while, like for personal
Mhm.
use. Like we didn't keep them all the time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just things that would flit like in and out. We did chickens, but like we didn't have like um, we only had chickens like the last 2 years that we were on the farm. We didn't do them the whole time.
Chickens just might as well be cats. Like, I've been around chickens before. They're just like
Yeah.
cats, except they're just birds. They literally will not do anything. Like, if you were getting stabbed, they would just look at you and run.
Yeah. And yeah, one of my friends laughed at me because I was talking about, we had this rooster and I don't know, like, I guess he thought he was human or something. I don't know, but like, he wouldn't stay outside. He wanted to be in the house all the time. And you open the door, and you know how like you open the door and a cat will in the door really fast? This rooster would do that. It would come in the house constantly, and you'd shoo the thing back out, and you put it in the pen, and then all of a sudden it would be back out again. And we were like walking the perimeter of its area and looking for places it could get out. And it was like a magic escape artist. I don't know how it got out.
So you grew up on a farm, essentially. So how was like school? You went to like public school or whatever, or you just homeschooled?
Well, I went to public school, but I lived with my grandparents because my parents like constantly were fighting and separating, getting back together and that sort of thing. And they were trying to keep me like away from all of that. And then after they took the farm, shortly after that, my mom remarried and my dad remarried. So I went to live with my mom and my new stepdad, and that didn't go real well because my stepdad tried to be my dad, even though my dad was still in my life. So there was like resentment there and everything. But I got this like weird experience of being an only child up until that point, to suddenly having like stepsisters and half sisters and all this. And there was so much of a gap between my age and like my brothers and sisters that I sort of took on like second mama roles and babysitter roles and all of this. And when my mom, would work constantly or whatever, a lot of times I would have to take care of them. And it was weird because like I would go to school, but then I would have to like come home and fix dinner or like take the car and go to the store and get groceries because she hadn't bothered to buy any food. Like, she would just leave money on the table a lot of times for me to take care of things. Sometimes I had to pay the bills because she would just like check out and not pay the power bill or whatever, and we just wouldn't have any electricity. So
oh wow,
I just had to kind of grow up really fast after that, So, and then I went to school thinking I was going to be a teacher. I went to Appalachian State University to be a teacher, and then ended up switching to a social work major after a couple of years. And so it took me 5 years to graduate. And then after I graduated, I realized that I didn't actually want to do social work because it's really hard not to get, at least for me, it was really hard not to get so emotionally invested, take it all home with me. So I changed course and I took a course online and did like interior design. And then I took another one for organization. And I had already in my bachelor's had a secondary in psychology. So I started working with hoarders basically and trying to get them to let go and just clean up enough to like not get evicted from their homes or lose their family members or something like that was like putting them in crisis at the time. And I did that till I burned out. And then finally was like, let me just take a retail job till I can figure out what it is I want to do with my life. And that's when I discovered, that art was something that I could actually pursue full time.
While also discovering the great big world of Walmart.
Yes, I did management things like quite a few times and then stepped down like all over the store. I built like the store that flooded that I told you about.
Mhm.
I built that store from the ground up, like literally like pieced together the front registers, helped put up all the signage, helped install the shelves. Like I helped build it and it was just gone in a second. And um I don't know, like I met all kinds of really cool people. I met some other people that like have been really supportive. Like I just did an art fair the other day, and some of
Mhm.
the people that came out to the art fair and supported me were people I met at Walmart, you know?
Did you have an experience working there where you would see like single moms with kids and you eventually saw them grow up? You saw them like become adults and teenagers too?
Well,
Gosh.
electronics, you have like the demo consoles, you know?
Mhm.
And so people would sort of drop their kids off like they were being babysat while they did their shopping and they would just wander off and then come back to get their kid later. Um, but yeah, you saw the same kids because people lived in the area. You met the kids of the other employees. You saw birthday parties in the break room. So you saw all those people growing up. But
Mhm.
like, I still have like all these people like on Facebook that I worked with that I
Mhm.
keep up with and everything. Like I have a whole family there, you know? So it's like really hard to separate like that and that Walmart family and the employees
Mhm.
and the wholesome experience that I had there from the actual corporate life, I guess, and the policies and how
Mhm.
Walmart was. Um, Walmart did do some things that I did not like. They made changes over the years I didn't like. They went through multiple CEOs and they would like flip flop policies, like, you know, from CEO to
One week,
CEO.
one day it's one thing. You find out 2 days later it's another thing. What year did you start working there then?
Um, see, I got to think about this. I graduated in 99, 2004.
So what was the last year you worked there?
Uh, Again, doing the math, my son is 8. So what was 8 years ago?
So 8 years would be 2016. So when Donald Trump became
2016.
president.
Yeah, right at the right. That's right. Because his election, I got married in 2012.
Mhm.
So it was a couple of years after we had been married when I got pregnant. Yeah. So
Okay.
that sounds
And
about right.
are
Yeah.
you married now?
Technically, but we're separated. I don't live with my husband anymore.
Oh no, that sucks. Sorry.
Yeah.
Good
My
gosh.
son has special needs, and I don't think my husband ever like could come to grips with that or make
Oh,
peace
is
with
it like a
that.
certain form of autism or it's like
Yeah,
dyslexic?
he's a very high level, nonverbal autistic. Yeah,
Does that kind of
it's a
run in the
lot of work.
family? Kids being
No,
autistic?
actually, it was like very random. Like it's really weird. It's almost like I was prepared to have my son because when I did social work, my specialty was autism, and I worked in a group home for autistic people. um, my half brother, who has now passed away, but
Mhm.
that my dad had when he remarried, he had a rare disorder that caused him seizures and developmental delays. So I
Mhm.
was very used to like social workers and
Yeah.
therapy and all of that kind of world. Um, and it's kind of what made me do social work in college. And then I work at this group home, and then years later I end up having my son. And so yeah, I kind of feel
Is it
like someone or
easier when they're a
something set me
baby?
up to have him.
Is it easier when they're babies if they have autism because they'll just do the normal things that babies do, or do they do anything
Sort
different?
of. Not every child, but a lot of autistic children have sleep issues. And
I
so
heard
as a
about that.
baby,
Yeah.
he had sleep issues. And that was the main thing when he was a baby, was just sleep. Like it was one of those things where and some babies are like this anyway, but like certain sounds would trigger him more than other sounds. Like, you know how aluminum foil sounds?
Yeah, where it's like crunchy. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have a kid, if you're in church, everybody brings you food. And a lot of times it's wrapped with aluminum foil. And every time he would go to sleep, I would go try to have something to eat. And I'd try to take that aluminum foil up, and he'd hear that sound and wide awake. But I could take like something and, clap right beside him, and he's dead asleep. It was just that sound woke him up. So I don't know. It was a lot of weird things that I just sort of made normal, like just adjusted to or whatever. And then later I think he was like 1.5 when we actually realized and got him diagnosed.
Was that like a was that like a huge shock or anything, or you were just like?
I was kind of shocked, yeah, because he learned to walk and he was just starting to get his first words, and then all of a sudden the words that he had already learned he lost. He forgot how to say them, or he just completely stopped talking. So that's why we went and had him evaluated. And then when they told us, we were like, thought this needed to have some sort of history. Everybody that I had worked with when I was in school had some sort of history. And they were like, no, it can just happen randomly genetically. And you guys got lucky. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we got real lucky. This is awesome. And I kind of went through like a grieving phase. Like, even though I knew about it and I knew I could handle it, like I grieved the child that I had wanted to have, like the normative child that I had imagined,
Mm-hmm.
But after I got over it, then I just started doing what I was supposed to do to take care of him. But I don't think my husband ever did that. I don't think he was ever able to let go of that image of the child that he wanted. And I think that's ultimately like the biggest problem that we had.
How long have you guys been separated for?
It's not been a year yet, so we can't file for. We have in North Carolina, you have to wait a year to file for divorce.
Oh, yeah, it's a whole I forgot, it's a no fault divorce kind of bullshit. I always tell people this about marriage. It's something that even married people have told me, and I've had friends that have gotten married, and even all this, I'm like, would you ever do it? I'm like, hey man, secretly, would you ever do this again? He's like, no, fuck no, I would never do it again. There's a reason why, guys, people don't want to get married. It's not even just because of problems like you had. It's more like, even if you want to get out of it, you can't, because there's some limitation where you have to basically stay married because of some law where you can't get it over with. And then the process of, like, as people know, with anything dealing with the law or anything like this, it just takes a long time to get over it. Like, it also doesn't help that, when women get married nowadays, they want to take everything from the guy. Like, they want to take all the money and then all his alimony and all this bullshit. Like, marriage is just not worth it. I'm sorry. Like, it's just, it's one of those things where I'm pretty sure you thought about it. Like, I'm getting into this. It's going to be a one-time thing. And it's just,
that was my biggest thing when we got married. Like, I told him, to be like ultra sure, because I had seen my parents fight and separate and get back together and divorce and all of that. And I was like, I don't want to get married unless I'm sure it's going to be,
literally
till
forever.
death do us part.
Yeah.
and then this happens, and he's like, I didn't plan on it. I didn't do it on purpose. And I was like, I get that. I know that you're not like, you didn't like set out from the start to have this happen, but still, like, I made commitments for life, and so it's been kind of crazy and everything. And I highly disapprove of people that like try to just prey on guys and stuff. I really hate that. But at the same time, like, because my son is how he is, and because I don't have, like, right now we're trying to do, like, we're applying for Medicaid. We're trying to get food stamps because, like, a big source of income just left our house, right? Like, he's paying a little bit to help, but we don't even have anything in writing yet that says that, he's going to make these payments. It's just him doing it out of the goodness of his heart.
Yeah.
And so,
and you might not even go through with that too, because that's another long process you have to go through. You have to get information. You have to get pay stubs and all that other stuff. It's literally,
it's a lot.
I always tell people this. You know, people know on Twitter I do shit on modern women a lot, but I will say this: that there are women out there where they did make all the right decisions. It's just the guy at some point just didn't want to do it, or you try hard enough with someone, and then you come to the realization that it's just not worth it. I'd rather just do it myself and struggle. Like people just come to those realizations. Like it's not always a black and white thing. There's so much nuance in a lot of them. You know, I don't understand why people just don't see it from a point of view like, what if the woman did try? What if the guy's just a piece of shit? You know, like what if she did? My mom did everything she could to try to keep our dad around. He was just a piece of shit. He just didn't want to be there. Like what can you do? You can't force someone to be there. You know, you can't.
I know now with like the hindsight that an adult has that my mom was not the bad guy because, well, neither really was my dad, but my mom, I always thought like when I was a kid that she was the bad guy because I was daddy's girl, right? So, but now I know that she wasn't the bad guy and that my dad had an issue with staying at a job for a long period of time. Like he would get bored working a 9 to 5, or he would get depressed or something and he would quit. And then he would go try to find like another job, but it might take him months to find another job. And he would be all like, oh, this is new and interesting. And he would be like all excited to be there for a few months. And then he would either get bored or he would get depressed and he would quit that job and he would just float from job to job. And, you know, mom was trying to get him to stay somewhere and be stable and provide. And because he wouldn't, she ended up having to work a lot more and do overtime and things like that. And so she, you know, she wanted to know that he actually cared. Like it wasn't even so much that she was having to pick up the slack. It was just the fact that she thought that he didn't care that he was making her pick up the slack. You know what I'm saying? Like that she just thought he didn't give a crap. And so I get it now. I get the dynamics of the relationship that I couldn't understand as a kid. But I think my dad was very much like me. I think he had that artistic, creative type of spirit that's not really good with a 9 to 5. Like I managed to do it for all those years at Walmart because I had to, but it wasn't like I felt like I was just going through the motions and just surviving.
You were just stale with the routine. You at some point you woke up and you were like, man, I'm getting up and going to work and this is just the same thing. You feel like you're just like purgatory or something.
Yes, I felt so depressed and so trapped. And I don't mean like Walmart in general, but I mean the Walmart that I was at and the management that I had.
Well, it's a common sentiment amongst a lot of 9 to 5 jobs. People just feel trapped.
Yes,
that
is a common thing, but it's like there is a certain amount of that like that's the job. You know what I'm saying? But this management was really good at making you feel like you were trapped and like Walmart had to be your whole life. Like your family couldn't be important to you. They discouraged trips and vacations. And if like they saw that you put in vacation time, they like sometimes they'd even approve it, but then the schedule changed or a corporate bigwig came into town and they were like, oh, but actually now we really need you to be here. They wouldn't care if you bought plane tickets or made hotel reservations or whatever. They would make you feel like you had to be there or else you would get fired. So it was a very bad location to work at. And it definitely made me feel more trapped than just like the routine of having a retail job did. And they started at the end of my time at Walmart with this new policy where if you work anywhere in Walmart, you work everywhere in Walmart. So basically,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
You could do any job. But the reason they did it was kind of sketchy. And not a lot of people picked up on it at first. It took a while, but then other employees started to pick up on it.
Randomly, you go in, you're for the game electronics section, and then one day they're like, hey, you're gonna have to be the greeter all day. It's like, what the fuck?
Yes. But what they would do is they might put you as greeter, but they also might put the greeter in electronics. What they were doing was taking some of the employees who are at pay scale like 2 and making them work in a pay scale 4 location. But what they were doing is they have these rules that say if you don't work there so many hours, they don't have to pay you at pay level 4. They can still pay you at pay level 2, but make you work in pay level 4.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just doing it with enough employees and doing the truffle shuffle, so to speak, enough to where they could get the higher pay areas covered for less money. So it was there was some stuff I didn't approve of, but that kind of stuff, or having your vacation time like set and then having it taken away from you and having to cancel plans or
birthdays,
like,
you'll like schedule a birthday off and they'll be like, hey, you got to come in, stuff like
yeah, or like calling me on my days off and trying to get me to come in because somebody else called out like constantly. It wasn't just like a once in a time thing, it was like constantly
all the time.
Yeah. So it really made me not want to be there
and then
when I was
wonder,
actually supposed to be there.
And then you always wonder with that kind of situation is if that person is always constantly calling out, literally just get rid of them. I still will never understand corporations like them, like McDonald's or any of them, where they feel like they have to subject themselves to the most lowest common denominator of person with the most worst work ethic ever. I'm like, I've even told people that work for those places, you know, you don't have to subject yourself to that. The person is wanting to work for you. You give them the money. If they don't come in, you get rid of them and get someone else.
About hiring that they have to follow.
It's way different now. Yeah,
and some of it's the state and that sort of thing. So it also creates this thing where it's kind of like the voter rolls. You know how voter rolls often have dead people on them?
Yeah.
Well, Walmart often has employees that no longer work there still on the schedule. So so like you go to schedule for electronics and 3 of the slots are already taken up and only 2 slots are available. So if you say, you know, my availability is in these slots, these other people are taken up, they'll say, well, I can't schedule you those hours. I don't have those hours available. And they don't have them available because there's a non-working person already in the slot. So it just was frustrating because they wouldn't clean it up and the schedules were always a mess. And then, you know, like a lot of places, if you last minute need to go to something like within a week or a couple of days, you could like swap shifts with somebody else to get that time. You can't do that at Walmart. You have to have 3 weeks notice for anything that's going on. Yeah. So
also the schedules are also done 3 weeks in advance too, which is like, I understand it's way different than other places, but it's one of those things where, good God, like how did overtime work for you? So people know you worked the 9-hour shifts there. So if you'll remember, it's like 8 to 4.
Yeah, you work a 9-hour shift because you get an hour lunch and 2 15-minute breaks.
See, that's not that bad. That's actually pretty cool. Getting an hour break. I mean, good Lord, getting a 30-minute break at my work is just heaven. Imagine that extra 30 minutes. It's like, man, I could just straight up watch porn right there. Going straight to X videos. That's where I'm going at, guys. No, definitely not at work. Holy crap.
I was like, stay in the break room and work on my art. That was my thing.
So were you, because like if you were to tell someone if they wanted to work at like a Target or a Walmart, you wouldn't tell them no, right? Still?
No, I still wouldn't tell them no. What I would say is when you go in, don't lie, because a lot of people go in for their interviews and they're like, I'm available all the time. I will just live here. And then they get hired and they get scheduled all the time. And they're like, well, yeah, my hours, blah, blah, blah. Like if you're available a certain time, say you're available a certain time.
Yeah.
Don't just lie so that you can get the job and then complain about it, you know, because I hear people do that all the time. The other thing I would say is just realize that, you know, there's certain things you're signing up for, like working Black Friday and stuff like that. And also, if your manager is a jerk, your manager is a jerk. Like, it's not like your ex-boyfriend that you're going to try and I'm going to make him a better person. Like, no, that's not how this works. Okay. If you don't like it, either don't work for them, work in a different section, or quit the job, like something like that. I'm sorry. My hair is all crazy. Hang on.
Oh, that's okay. Mine's too. Ugh.
There we go.
So that's the thing I wanted to ask you, because you have the Rumble logo in your background. So
Yes.
so most people probably ask you this. Instead of doing YouTube, which most people do, or like Twitch or whatever, why did you choose Rumble to put content on instead of just being on YouTube as well? Or did you just not see yourself growing on YouTube at all?
So I've tried YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble. I started out making videos on YouTube, and I actually started that like over a decade ago. Like my first channel was going to Japan with Shan, because that was when I was like young and first married, and me and my husband were actually talking about buying a second house in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was studying Japanese, like trying to become fluent in it. And so I started out with those videos and was all up in the J-Vlog community and stuff. Then I started doing gaming videos, and I tried to just get one. There were two separate channels, obviously. I tried to get one of those channels monetized. I never could get monetized on those channels. Eventually, I started doing shorts on YouTube, and they did decent. Like I usually averaged about 1K on my shorts for gaming, but still monetization was not something that was going to happen on YouTube. And so I started doing streaming on Twitch. Excuse me, my drink's making me burp there. But I started trying to do Twitch, and I had all these like cool alerts, and my whole thing was a lot similar to like it is on Rumble. Based, my name is based on Shan, the anime. So, I did that for a while, and then there was another artist. Her name was Shan, and to separate myself from her, I started Planet Shan, and then nobody was watching on Twitch, and I couldn't get any views. And I didn't really know how to stream. Like I didn't know anything about OBS or anything, and there was no community to teach or to learn from. So I floundered for a little bit, and then I quit that. And then I didn't stream for like years. And I made an occasional video on YouTube, but it was all like a hobby. I wasn't trying to get monetized anymore. I was just doing it because I like making videos and I like playing games. So I did that. And then eventually politics led me to Rumble. And then one of the political shows, The Quartering, rated Lumpy Potato. And that's how I realized there was a gaming community there. And then I just followed, the different creators in the gaming section until basically I just developed a lot of friendships there, and they were like, you should stream. So I was doing the thing where you mirror like your content, because Rumble used to have this feature where you could mirror your content from YouTube to Rumble.
It was the auto sync. Yeah. They took it away. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that at first. And then when they took it away, because I was able to monetize on Rumble, but not on YouTube, and because I was supported on Rumble and people were helping me and stuff, I just started taking my content off of the YouTube and re-uploading it to Rumble, and then making new content on top of it. But I just figured I would put it over there where it could be, seen by people that wanted to know what I was about anyway. And then once I started streaming, like I thought, well, should I stream on YouTube as well and try and bring some of those followers like over to Rumble? And I thought about it or whatever, but I just feel like the people that were watching me on YouTube are not really going to like the content that I'm making over here because it's more streams and less of the videos and the shorts and the things
Mhm.
that they were subscribing for over there, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I might do that at some time in the future, but right now I just don't feel like that's my audience anymore.
Because the thing with Rumble that people have brought up is they're having this idea in their head that it has to be what YouTube is at where it is now, and it's like, guys, that's not how life works. Okay, there's these things called steps. Like when you have a kid, they become they're a baby, or they're a newborn, then they're a baby, then they're a toddler, then they're like a kid where they can walk around and yell at you. Then they're a teenager. Like, people see what I'm saying there with that analogy. They grow up.
Yes.
Things have to take time to advance, right? Now, is Roll
Yes.
perfect? Obviously not, but I'm pretty sure the CEO understands that, and he's trying to get certain things done to make the platform better. Like, the thing with Rumble that I do give them credit for is they are actively trying to make things better. You know, you do feel like there is some sort of direct connection there with Chris and a lot of people that are on Rumble, whereas with YouTube, you guys know how no business works this way in the world. So say if I had a problem with, say I bought a PS5 at Walmart and it didn't turn on. So I called Walmart and someone would help me out with that. On YouTube, if your video gets flagged, you have to be on Twitter and tag YouTube on Twitter. So you have to have a different social media platform to even talk to YouTube. And they're like automated bot system. No business on this planet works that way. Ever. Only YouTube does that. That's crazy, right? At least with Rumble, you can like somewhat be like, hey, I have a problem, and then someone maybe might reach out to you. You know, someone that's actually there.
Yeah. Another thing, and a lot of the staff is just in the chats, like just hanging out watching the shows. So
So I wanted to ask you this because Rumble had a controversial person that they recently signed. It was Dr. Disrespect. Now, so on one hand, I can agree that, maybe he might bring some more eyes to the platform. He can, but I'm also sure that that's what Mixer thought. People remember what Mixer was. Pretty sure Twitch thought this. Pretty sure Facebook thought this when they signed all these big like streamers and stuff. They were going to bring more eyes to the platform. Have you guys noticed this? Facebook doesn't do that anymore. The last person Facebook did that for was Disguised Toast, and he said he literally barely uploaded content there, barely streamed. He just got a bag and left, or got a bag and never did anything, right? Rumble's had a problem with that too. They did it with Kaisenet, they did it with iShowSpeed, they did it with Miskiff, they did it with Sneeko, they did it with Rice Gum. At least Rice Gum at least did his contract and left. Tyson and iShowSpeed, given that they have ties to Twitch and YouTube, pretty sure they were told not to do their contract on Rumble. That's just where I think about it. The thing with Dr. Disrespect is that I know a lot of people are. It's weird because most people on Rumble go, okay, he's just my guy now, and a lot of people are going, well, this is kind of a problem though, because he did admit to talking inappropriately with a younger person. Now, the nuance there is, it's not the same thing that people are thinking of in their brain, right? So let's say I was around some kids at Walmart and I yelled the word fuck in words. Okay, that is deemed inappropriate, right? Because obviously of the setting and the kids surrounding it. But that situation is what people think this is. That's not the same thing. With his situation is inappropriately talking to a minor secretly that no one knew what was happening, inappropriately as far as like, okay, why would a guy be talking to a girl alone? We kind of know where that would lead, right? Now, was he faked? Now, was it set up by somebody? We don't know. People have been saying, go ahead.
The whole thing with being alone with a minor, let's ignore the minor part for a second. A dude with a woman, with a girl, with a female, okay? So at Walmart, if you were a male manager and you needed to talk to a female employee, you had to keep the office door open and you had to have another witness in the room because you don't want any allegations going like anyway. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I also, I don't know if people know this, but I did Amway for a while. And I was in a group that was like Christian based that sold their products. What is going on? I'm just gonna y'all don't see my hair, okay? But basically, they were Christian based and they were building the business. And the first thing that they told us is you don't mess with another person's money and you don't mess with another person's wife. Like, that was the first thing they told us. And then they explained to us that the easiest way not to mess with them or be accused of it is just don't be alone with that person. Don't be alone in a car with that person. Like, even if people need rides, we would do like girl cars and guy cars,
Just those situations that you just brought up, they think that's what that was. That's not the same thing. So yes, inappropriate could be like, okay, don't yell the word fuck around a kid. Don't do certain things. Obviously, like, don't smoke around a kid. That would be considered inappropriate. That's not what that situation is, guys. Everyone's been trying to point it out to that one, like, be an adult in the room. Don't do that kind of stuff around kids, which is what most people wouldn't do. They wouldn't do that stuff around kids. This one is about him specifically even going on his tweet and saying, did these conversations lean inappropriate? He literally said yes. And then he edited the tweet multiple times and then ultimately just deleted it. Okay, so I don't know why he didn't see there. It was proven in a court of law that he didn't do anything that was super bad, like send nudes or anything like that. But that's not what was in question. Did you speak, like, but let's say disgusting to this person who was underage? And if, I don't know what state he lives in, so maybe it was because there's different ages of consent, right? But even if that was, that's not a moral thing, right? Morally, you would go like, that's pretty creepy. You go like, I'm good.
Well, see, my problem talking about his allegations is I didn't actually read the tweet from him. I have seen other people talk about the tweet. I have heard people talk about it. I have heard him respond to the allegations. I didn't see the initial tweet where he said, yes, I talked inappropriately or whatever. And I didn't know about the situation until like hindsight. I wasn't like in on it as it was actually happening. And when he came to Rumble, I actually had never actually watched his content. I knew about him and stuff. I'd seen clips, but I'd never actually like watched a show or anything.
Yeah.
So when they announced it, I went and watched one of his shows on YouTube just so I could kind of understand like who he was and what the content looked like. Actually, my dad had that wig that he wears all the time in his show. And he used to get drunk and wear it around our basement and think he was like a rocker. But anyway, that content, I can see why people are like drawn to his stream. I get it. He comes with the jokes. He's got this persona, he's got this high quality effect situation thing going on, and dude is just like epic in his gameplay. You know what I'm saying? Like I get all that. But to me, there's a level of repetitiveness, if that makes sense, to it. Like, I couldn't watch it like day after day after day after day.
You'd be surprised how many people do that style of stream now. It's
really?
What the kids, the kids love that stuff where the person just acts retardedly crazy in front of them. They just do weird, they emote weird. That's what the kids are into now.
Well,
the biggest content creator in the league does that too. He'll get on stream, put on a random team's jersey, and then he'll just he'll put on sunglasses. He'll just start yelling at the screen. I'm like, who likes that? This is weird.
Yeah. I literally think it's the COVID effect. Like, people who were just so bored out of their mind that they sought this like over the top thing to stimulate them. And I think it's perpetuated that type of stream, and it's perpetuated like that humor that is like, I don't know, like Jack Black type crazy humor. But yeah, so I get it, and I get why he's a draw and why people watch the streams. I don't know what he did specifically, and I don't know how to feel about that though. But as far as I'm sorry, I'm choked up. Hang on. Oh
Lord. Well, guys, she'll be right back. So it's one of these things where Rumble signing him, because given the deal that he potentially has, looking at it where it is at now, you would have to see, okay, how can this potentially help their gaming section? So if it's someone that's going to give them basically advice on,
Man.
how to improve their gaming section.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, you're fine. Because that what I was just saying a second ago is that him being there, it's not it's that it's bad. It's just more like there's so many different ways to look at it. Because why would they sign someone that has allegations of inappropriately talking to a minor? But then it's like, you're spending all this money on someone to basically improve their gaming section because they want to bring more eyes to it, which is fine. But why not take that money and invest it into people that are already doing that? I know plenty of Rumble people like you do that do what he does. They don't have the big audience, but they're perfectly fine creating content. Like, I think Fuse Aegis would deserve that.
They want him to be a Dan Bongino,
basically. Yeah. And I think having him is going to bring more eyes, which is like, that's such a 50-50 thing, because he brings his audience.
But it did bring more eyes. Like, I've literally seen in chats, like specifically in some of the bigger ones in the gaming section, like Lumpy and Silver and Mrs. Ma'am, who's like growing like crazy right now, and some of these other ones, like there are people in chat that are coming and they're like saying, I was there, now I'm here, I'm checking out the rest of the platform. Like, they're literally saying that in chats. Yeah. So that is happening. I just don't know how big those numbers are going to be. Yeah. And as far as his contract, it looks like they, instead of going for a bag, they made it so that he's invested in Rumble and he's getting stock, which I think is a better option to make them be invested in the platform than just giving them a bag. But a lot of people are mad because Chris was on Lumpy's show, the Roundtable show, and he was talking about they're not just going to hire a bunch of people because they've learned their lesson about these people just getting a bag and then leaving, and they want somebody that's invested in the platform. And then right after that, they announced Dr. Disrespect. And so it seems like a contradiction, and so people are mad. And some people are like, well, they're still going to try and grow the gaming community. They're still giving us the technical features we want. They're still doing all this. They're switching their like PR stuff from pushing politics so much now that the election's over to now they're going to push gaming and crypto, is what Chris says. So they feel like they're getting enough that they're willing to sort of wait and see what happens with Dr. Disrespect. And at least not immediately jump on the pessimistic side of things or whatever. Just wait and see how it turns out. And I think that's the best way to go for now.
No, I agree.
And then Rumble's creator program that they're supposed to come out with, like, there's all these questions about it.
Yeah, they did it twice. I got rejected both times, even though I was more than fully qualified to be it. But it's fine. Happens,
I don't understand how they picked people, and they weren't transparent about how they picked people. Yeah. The first one I didn't qualify. The second one I did, and I got in, and I felt immensely lucky to get into. The third one, though, everybody's asking details because they said something about him like being over it or having some sort of like being able to lead the gaming section. And so I'm just wondering what kind of power or that's not the word I'm trying to think of, not effect, what kind of leverage, what kind of pull he's going to have, like, to decide who gets in it and how it runs and all that kind of stuff. So
because I think with the smaller creator program that they tried, it wasn't a bad idea. It's just the fact that if certain people don't get in, they're going to feel like there's slights of favoritism and all that stuff. And then it was more like the stipulations for it were all kind of weird. It was just basically, people just got paid and left. They didn't really want to be there on the platform. But this time, the third time's a charm. Hopefully it's third time's a charm, where they can finally nail it down. Okay, what do smaller creators have to do in order to get the money, in order to actually, you want to be here invested? Because, if you put in a certain amount of hours to get whatever level of money you're going to get out of it, that makes the person drive to want to get it. You're not going to get some instant bag, But
and
I think
I'm just hoping they're transparent about all of it, all of like the qualifications, who's going to get it, what all it's gonna. I want
Yeah,
full
I
transparency.
literally was literally more than qualified to get in both times. I had more than enough followers, more than enough content, more than enough views, everything. I was literally just probably the perfect candidate. Nothing. It's like, what the fuck? The hell did I do?
And there were people that got in that really probably shouldn't have got in.
And they got featured. They got pinned to the front page.
Some of them were like, not just because they took the bag and ran, but like there were creators that they, had like how long you had to stream was a requirement. So they were just like streaming content that wasn't really content, like streaming photos, streaming reused videos, streaming like nothingness just to meet their stream requirements. So
good God, man. Just seeing where the content, seeing where Rumble's gonna go. I think it's gonna grow. I think there is something there. It's just, I tell people it's gonna take time to get there, and I have no problem, multi-streaming there and putting content there. I had the Iron Man podcast exclusive there to Rumble for almost a year. Like the first 499 episodes of that show are on there, and then I had to I've had like multiple podcasts throughout the years, but I ended up having to basically sync up everything together. So I cut that one off to do this show, which is the last podcast I'm doing. Because no more reboots. I am all in right now.
Are you sure?
So,
are you positive?
Yes, I know I said this before, and I know I've lied technically, but it wasn't a lie. I kept my promise. I'm still doing this, but it's like a wife. I don't want her one day, and I want her back the next day. I get a different wife sometimes, One day I want a Mexican wife. One day I want a white wife. One day I want a Chinese wife. Just no black wives. I'm not trying to get married to the government, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just gonna I dropped all of my Cloud9 podcasts, the one that I do for League of Legends on Rumble. I uploaded all 290 episodes of it to Rumble, and then from the last 2 episodes of season 13, I've just had it streamed there because I'm streaming between YouTube, X, and Rumble. Like you said with Twitch, I'm not streaming to Twitch anymore, but I have a plan to stream to Twitch again. It's just not going to be this kind of stuff. I've been working on it for quite some time. It's almost done. It's literally almost done. But that's the only content that's going to work there on Twitch, because the content that I do like this and like the other stuff, it's just no one cares. It's just not worth it. It's not worth the time putting it there. But it is worth there putting on Rumble, because some of the content I do here, like this kind of thing, it does actually better on Rumble. A lot of the content does better over there. But, I can't go fully into that because I like being on the multiple different places now. So,
yeah, it's one of those things where you just have to know what audience is best for that particular content.
Yeah.
And if they do shorts on Rumble like they're talking about.
Yeah, I remember that. They're supposed to do that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know when that is going to happen. Oh, I think I'm finally getting over that choke up there.
Same thing with my wife.
Basically, if they do that, I'm going to be doing a lot of those because I really like making shorts and I really like doing clips and things, but I don't know. Like I like editing and putting things together like that, and I like trying to do short clips that are funny. Like I like to try and do the funny stuff. And a lot of what I was doing was trying to, with my shorts when I had them on YouTube, was trying to capture like other people too. Like I'm doing the Minecraft server, so I would like play with other creators and stuff, and I would like get good clips of their funniest moments and stuff, and show why I like playing with them and try to show why I like Minecraft so much in those. And I really hope that there's like a surge of Minecraft players on Rumble, because right now there's not a whole lot of it. There's tons of Minecraft on YouTube, but not so much on Rumble. There's just a few creators, and one of them, Gussie, is getting ready to leave. And
oh gosh,
yeah. So I'm just hoping that we can build up like a good Minecraft community there. But I also want to do like the server, not just like for creators to play on and making my content on. Like I want to create a server. I have like a server that we created before Caves and Cliffs update that was on 1.16 that I worked on with a friend. who I would say he's a Minecraft artist. Like that's the kind of builder he was. Like it was that level, you know. And there was so much of his stuff that he built, and he's now passed away. And I want to get it into a new server where people can actually see what he did and be in game with it and experience it to sort of remember him and not let that go to waste, not let all that we did together go to waste.
Yeah.
And there's like there's not like lore really to Minecraft, so I invented lore for the server. And so there's a lot of lore like sort of built into it, not like I don't know how to explain it. Like you just sort of pick it up as you go through the world or whatever. There is one place where we built a library where you can actually read some of it, but like you don't have to. Like you can kind of pick it up in the server in the gameplay. So
the last few things I'll ask you, which is the first one, which is you also do Fortnite gameplay sometimes. Yet you did have a recent catch up video that you just did.
Yeah, that was this morning. Yes. That was on my user because a lot of people follow my user because I have, you know, the art channel, I have the gaming channel, I have like a lifestyle channel. So like if you follow the user, it's just easy to see everything because it posts everything to your user. And then after they see content there, sometimes they'll subscribe or follow the other channels.
Yeah, that's the thing Rumble needs to do is they need to kind of whatever infrastructure system they need to put in place, please fix that. There's no need for a user and another second account. Just have it all be in one account. That's all they need. Or because YouTube has that. YouTube has where you have an account that you use, but it's not your channel. I think that's what they were going for, but it just ended up getting just jumbled and confused. Actually, you know.
Yeah, and a lot of people like in gaming, you use their user for their gaming. You know, like it's their only channel that they have content on. But I like having the separate channels, but I do a lot of crossover in between. So like, you know, if I'm playing Minecraft, there's art-like components to it. And then a lot of my art is inspired by what I see in the gaming section too. So like I've done a lot of fan art and stuff like that and profile pictures for people and emotes. There's a global emote that I did. It's the Rumble Hug. There's like fan art. I did a lot of fan art for Lumpy because it was the first stream I ever came across. Sorry. And then like I've done some other things just like here and there for people. My newest stickers that are on the website, they have a sticker of Mrs. Ma'am. There's Lumpy doing his chair dance. There's the Rumble Hug. There's like the word Rumble with the logo in it and just some like the Rumble rocket and stuff like that. But I plan on doing some others with some of the art that I created with other creators. Like I did like an anime version of Gussie. Just different stuff like that just whatever hit me inspiration. I want to see if I can work with Amish. Amish does 3D printing, Amish Zaku. And I want to do like some designs and see if I can get him to 3D print them. He did both of these logos. Cool. Like this light up one was just a prototype that I begged him to let me have. So.
That's how you do it for guys. If girls want something, they just gotta beg for it. You're like, you know what? Fucking hell, I'll give it to it. Here, take my shit.
This is my Fortnite crown. I can't keep it straight in the camera, but I usually put it on in the mirror. But anyway, it sits on your headphones. And then he has like a cowboy hat one that Mrs. Ma'am always wears on hers. I even got one of them that I'm about to put up behind me that has like my actual name on it,
That's
just
cool.
personalized ones. So.
Oh, and the other few things I wanted to ask you, which is, do you have anything planned coming up? Do you have any plans coming up in 2025 that you want to let the audience know about?
I have a lot of stuff planned for 2025. I've just recently started doing art fairs, but I'm also going to be applying for some conventions like for artist alleys and place big anime conventions and stuff. So
Mhm.
I'm waiting to hear back from some of those to see if I got in. I'm going to be doing more art fairs. I've got some stories that I wrote that I'm finishing up that I'm going to be publishing in like KDP with Amazon, self-publishing. I'm working on an album that I'm gonna put digitally up on my Wix website. There's just like so many things that I want to like. I started learning animation in Procreate Dreams because I use Procreate on my iPad for a lot of my digital art. Um, and I wanted to do some kids content, so I just started playing around with it and learning it. And I'm working on a video. It's like, A is for Apple, like that type
Yeah.
song. Just so that I can learn and get some of it done. But I've been like working on designing these characters that eventually I want to animate to put some children's content up. I've been working on music to go with the videos. But I can't like play any instruments or anything. So I've been having to rely on Suno to help me get the instrumental parts of songs. And
Mhm.
my current plan is to get Suno to make the songs with the instrumental and then pull the AI voice out and put a real voice in, because I don't know any other way to create the instrumental part of the songs. And that way the songs won't have that AI generated type voice for the kids songs. It'll actually have like a human voice. And then I'm like working on a lot more acrylic painting.
Mhm.
One of the things that I really want to do is get to a point to where I can live stream the painting better. Like I've been working on this setup where I use my phone as like a mobile camera to see the easel while I'm painting.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do I explain it? It's like not the best at angling the
Mhm.
phone exactly how I want. It's like a ring light with a camera holder or with a phone holder in the middle of it. And so I would like to have like an actual tripod that I can position the camera better and move it
Oh yeah,
around.
that'd probably be a lot better.
And it's
Yeah.
not in my way while I'm trying to paint, like I'm not
Yeah.
afraid I'm going to bump it.
All right. Don't worry.
So.
I do my comic book hauls on my phone. Of course, but I couldn't do it on my webcam because if I tilt my webcam down and stretch my screen out, it wouldn't look as good. Like some stuff I think phones can be very good for like that, but I only use it for like certain things. I remember I started content creation out on a disgusting 2015 Metro PCS phone, so we've come a long way since then, boys. Let's say that. So last thing I'll ask you is, do you have any shout outs? Do you want to get to anyone in particular and anything else you want to say before we end the show?
Well, I kind of already did a little bit with Amish Saku and some of these other guys. But the big thing the big one that I want to try and shout out is Panda Sub 2000. Great channel, awesome shows, lots of different types of content, really pushing the boundaries with like chat interaction in the shows. And just like some of the best content that I've watched, I'm always in his chats. I've been on the show several times. I'm going to be on there again on the 13th, I believe it is, talking about AI and AI art with some other people like Cyber Mario, who's an artist in the community, and Stacy, who's on there regularly. But he's working on this like interactive game show thing, and he's got all these like really cool videos where he like is inventing these characters that are I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of that goofy humor that we were talking about, but it's also kind of like action sequency and stuff, like a lot of really cool effects and stuff like that. So I just don't think enough people give him credit. So I'm always shouting him out every chance that I get.
I will even say this for people that are doing content creation. Just, you know, if you believe there's something there with Rumble, just upload your content there. It's the same thing you're uploading anyway. It's the same stuff. You already did the same content. Or if you have the free time, download your content from the first video you've ever done, upload it all in order. That way it syncs and it's mirrored up, you know? And to be fair, if Rumble ever did get bigger and it is what people think it's going to be in 10, 15 years, well, you're not starting from scratch like other people are going to have to end up doing, you know, when that ever happens. So I think, you know, just give it a chance. And to be fair, you'll also gain another audience while also getting another audience. It's just, you know, there's really no downside to doing it unless you just literally just don't like the platform, which is like, okay, I guess if you really just don't, then that's fine, I guess. But there's no reason not to put it there. You can literally gain
where you can actually audience. Chat. Yeah. If you can actually chat, not just like go watch, but actually chat and interact with chat for like 10 minutes, and you won't want to leave. Like that the community is so welcoming, you won't want to leave. But I'm not one of those people that like completely disses on YouTube either. Like YouTube has benefits. I still watch people over there, support people. I did a song for Drew Goodhelp the other day over there. I really like his content. Like there's a lot of good creators over there, and I'm not one that's going to like diss on YouTube and or any person that comes in my chat. I hate that people think that certain orientations or anything like that are not welcome on Rumble too. They are. It's just a culture of respect over there. So as long as they're respectful to everybody else, people will be respectful to them, especially in my chat, because I wouldn't have it any other way. So just wanted to give that shout out too.
Yeah. Just want, and also thank you to coming on for the first time. You know, can't wait to have another conversation in a few months, actually, you know. And then, you know, guys, I've been working on some stuff behind the scenes myself, as everyone knows. So your boy will be able to do a lot more going into 2025. It's literally the motto of go big or go home. Well, I guess you could say, you know, bigger is better. That's what my wife says. Doesn't matter. So thank you guys for checking out this episode of the MSK Show, and we will see you guys later. Have a great